Okay, folks, Candace Owens, Andrew Wilson, a recap a few days after the actual debate. You know, sometimes it's good you see the debate live, you don't get a chance to really, you're absorbed in listening to what each of them says, so you're not really dissecting the individual statements, having a chance to fact check them and do all that kind of fun stuff. So a few days later, you watch it a second time. You could put a little more thought into it, see what each of them is saying, understand it a little better. I thought that was worthwhile. And then I wanted to give you a little recap. A couple of opening thoughts before we go deep into the recap. Let's talk about the moderator, PBD. Again, I've said I like PBD. He's a smart guy. He's a successful guy. Knows his stuff. He's sharp. But the bottom line is, in this debate, look, he's not a debate referee. He was basically a potted plant there. It's kind of what I expected. He doesn't know the case well, I don't believe. He knows about the case. Everyone in America knows about the case. But he doesn't know it well enough to be an actual moderator for the debate. And as I said previously, PBD's a marketer, okay, who is more interested in being part of the event than the actual debate itself. That's my feeling on it. Again, good guy. Love watching him. He's entertaining. He's got a good show. But this was not his forte. Definitely not his forte.
Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of? Do you know any of the charges he's up for right now?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Naming the 7 charges. That's the big furor. Oh, my God. Andrew lost the debate right then and there. How can you know? Oh. Well, I'm going to tell you, he didn't lose the debate because of that. In fact, he didn't lose the debate, period. But we're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff on that. But not knowing one of the 7 charges, that's bad. That's bad. As sharp as Andrew is, and he's a really sharp dude, that's not a good look, especially when you don't know the main charge, which is aggravated murder. Just not a good look at all. Now
name all 7.
He doesn't even, this is like...
Name all 7.
And I
Can you name all 7?
I can't.
Then do it.
He doubled down on stupid by asking Candace to name all 7. Look, folks, you know, I've been as critical about her bullshit as everyone else. I'll be critical about it in this recap here. But she's been living and breathing this case for 11 months now. Clearly, she knew the 7 charges, or she was probably going to know the 7 charges. The cardinal sin when you're a lawyer, and it's also as a debater, is when you're a lawyer and you have someone on the stand, you never ask the witness a question that you don't know what their answer is going to be to it, because you can get an awful fucking big surprise. And that's what Andrew got right there by saying to Candace, name those 7 charges. She rattled them off. Boom, 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 boom. Case closed. That's it. Again, was that the deal breaker? That's what the internet wants to go. Candace has got all of her flunkies out there saying case closed. Wasn't even close. That's not really what a debate is all about. It's not really about asking people to name things. The reality is, again, PBD could have actually just stepped in right there and said, look, this is not the line of questioning for the subject matter of the debate. I mean, heck, Andrew could have countered with to Candace after she listed all 7 of the charges. Like, okay, Candace, you're a wise ass. Why don't you name the full names of all the people that make up the defense team and the prosecution team? Now, I wouldn't ask the question because, again, she might know it. Chances are probably 10% that she knows it. Actually, probably 1% that she knows it. But the bottom line is this isn't a memory contest. It's a debate. So The question, the whole line of reasoning should have been struck from the beginning. But that's that. I mean, all that said, this was way too much being said about the knockout blow, and basically it wasn't. My other knock against Andrew is, although he is technically a very, very good debater, he didn't know the subject matter well enough, and you absolutely need both. You need the great debating skills, and you need to really, really know the subject matter. Okay? You can't know one as a 9 or a 10 and the other one as a 6 or a 7. You need to know both of them as a 9 or a 10 to be a really great debater and perform really well in something like this. Now, Candace clearly she knows the subject matter in her own mind, which is the conspiracy subject matter. So I'm not even going to give her grades on this thing. That's just completely ludicrous. I mean, if I were to say she's like a 5 and a 5, okay, she's not. Actually, her debating skills are a 3, but let's just pass on that, okay? We'll get into the whole Candace fun stuff in a little bit. Okay, folks, let's talk about first, before we really start talking about dicing the slides and showing you about DNA evidence and hearsay versus reliable hearsay and all this fun stuff. Let's get into what I call the dirty little secret that nobody is talking about. How much money was really made in this debate? We know the public stance. Yeah, Andrew paid Candace $300,000. Well, you got to say to yourself, Candace has been offered debates for months and months now from a lot of prominent people, prominent podcasters, prominent influencers, saying we're going to debate her. I've seen amounts much higher than $300,000 to debate her, and she's turned every single one down. So why did she accept this one? Well, I mean, the $300,000, although look, folks, a lot of money, good chunk of change. It's not going to change Candace's life one bit, to be honest with you. So there had to be a little more incentive to it. So really, what was the incentive? Well, I actually messaged Candace a day before the debate, and messaged her on Twitter. And I said, is there going to be ads and sponsorships during the live debate? And of course, she didn't answer, didn't expect her to. But we got our answer, okay? We got our answer, there sure was. A lot of them. That's the little dirty secret, which is the ad sponsorship. So let's take a look at the projected numbers based on the knowledge we now know post-debate, okay? Let's take a look at the numbers. These are all AI searches. You get really good responses really quickly, very accurate, extremely accurate, actually. Again, I'm looking for a calculation potential. We know what everything was post-debate. It ran 3.5 hours long. There was approximately 600,000 live viewers. It looks like projected there'll be about 10 million total views. I think it's at like 6.5 million right now. Again, the live viewers somewhere in the 600,000 range. Don't forget, you had Candace showing it on her podcast, Andrew on her podcast, PBD on his podcast. You had others like Steven Crowder and others doing the live stream on their podcast. 600,000 may actually be a little bit low. I'm going to go with the number 600,000, and I'm going to go with the number of 10 million total views. And we know that there were 12 pre-recorded ads that were all bred by Candace herself, okay? So I'm not going to bore you with all the gobbledygook, CPMs, all the fun stuff, $25 per CPM, 30, 40, cost per thousand is what CPM stands for, as most of you know. I'm going to go down to, they give a bunch of ranges. It depends on how many people watch the entire 3.5 hours. How many watch half of it, 3/4, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to go down to what I think is the key thing right here, which is approximately 1.2 million to 2.5 million. My single number midpoint estimate would be approximately 1.8 million in total gross sponsorship value. Folks, I'm even going to say I don't think it was 1.8 million. I do think it was over $1 million. Could it be 1.8? Could it have even been higher than that? Of course it could have been. But I'm going to stand by the fact that what she made in sponsorships from the live views and the total views she's going to get on this is going to exceed $1 million. You add in the 300K. That's more in line with why Candace would accept a debate like this. So it wasn't just the $300,000. There was a lot more at stake. I'm going to guess, don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to guess she clearly they had to discuss the ads. They had to know that there were going to be breaks at certain intervals. That was all discussed prior to the debate. So I'm going to guess they also discussed, look, hey, I'm going to be running a bunch of ads on this thing. So again, I cannot confirm this, but I'm going to take a wild shot that she reimbursed Andrew for his $300,000 based on our sponsored ads. And she also gave PBD a VIG, I don't know, 50K, 100K, I don't know what it is. I mean, PBD is wildly wealthy to begin with, a part owner of the New York Yankees. But I'm sure there was some arrangement that was gone over before the actual debate began. And I'm gonna just guess and assume, always dangerous to assume, but that Andrew was given some form of compensation. Just a wild guess. Last thing before we get into the guts of the recap. We cannot have another debate where 4 commercial breaks that were all supposedly 3.5 minutes. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes, PBD said. For a total of 14 minutes, actually ran a total fucking 41 minutes. This is totally unacceptable. We can't have breaks that we're told are 3.5 minutes, and they're 12 minutes, they're 9 minutes, they're 14 minutes. If we're going to get a little bit better in this whole world of podcasting, online debating, we better start tightening up that fucking shit real quick, okay? Okay, one other thing before we get into the numbers. We talked about that already, so we're not even going to do it. Now we're going to look at a bunch of the clips that I feel are the most notable for Candace showing complete ignorance or more likely flat out lying.
It shouldn't be you in that chair. It should be the person that took Charlie's place, maybe Erica Kirk, maybe Andrew Colbert. He's a spokesperson. And rather than doing that, they send us another.
So just so you know, this first clip I want to show is PBD asking Andrew and Candace about the probability. Let's just play the clip, and then I'm going to give my comments on the other side.
Other influencer. So let's see how it goes.
Just out of curiosity, are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him?
Based on the evidence right now, I don't know. I'd say 75, 85%.
Candace?
0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
So
with what we've seen in terms of the evidence, I'm at 0%.
So not only, that maybe somebody was behind him as a patsy influencing him. You're not even saying that he didn't even shoot Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And kill him.
I would, if you said, was he involved that day, as
Right.
I have consistently said on my platform, I would say yes, he was. I don't know what role he played, but as the shooter, 0%.
Do you have any evidence for it?
For what? My percentage?
The fact that he didn't shoot and kill Charlie Kirk.
Yes, which I'm hoping we're going to get to all of the evidence that he feels that he has. I mean, I'm not even.
Okay, I'm going to just stop it there, folks. 0%. 0%. Now, again, we'd laugh if she said 30% or 50%. She said 0%. Folks, 0%, or in Animal House terms, with Blutarsky's grade, 0.0. I mean, the answer right off the bat tells you two things. Candace is fundamentally unserious about the truth. And also, her pathetic cultist fans are both brainwashed and brain dead. Okay? At least if you're going to kind of run this grift a little bit, give a half-ass answer. Say 40%. Okay? Don't say, if you're basically saying 0%, okay, it literally gives you a great insight into where her head is at in this whole thing and what her motive is. But again, let's go on to the next one. The next one is, I want to talk about hearsay versus reliable hearsay. Boy, this one is really, really telling. So let's see if we can grab the clip.
For what? My percentage?
The fact that he didn't shoot and kill Charlie Kirk.
Yes, which I'm hoping we're going to get to, all of the evidence that he feels that he has. I mean, I'm not even convinced that Charlie was shot from the rooftop on Losi that day, based on the evidence that has been.
Do you think he was shot?
I do not think that Charlie was shot from a 30-06 from Losi.
Yeah, but just shot at all.
I don't know. I think that a projectile hit Charlie, and I'm open to other people's presentations, but I have not seen any compelling evidence that Charlie was shot by a 30-06.
Can we see maybe if we're going to have an olive branch to each other, if maybe we can establish what we consider the facts of the case to be first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you're not sure if he was actually shot. You're open to alternative theories.
He was definitely hit with a projectile of some description. If we're talking about was he shot from a gun, a 30-06, I would say definitively no.
Okay.
It defies common sense to think that he had a Superman neck, and even if he did have a Superman neck, which has been demonstrated, I think actually recently a YouTuber actually set up Valhalla steel cages and shot it and it went through. So,
Okay. So, as we'll see, this is a common theme throughout the entire debate and also my recap, which is Candace keeps referring to hearsay versus reliable hearsay. She uses the terms interchangeably. They're not interchangeable. They're the furthest thing from interchangeable, folks. Folks, there's a giant difference in standards between hearsay and reliable hearsay. And all throughout this entire debate, Candace is wrongly interpreting one for the other. It's as different as Andrew saying murder versus aggravated murder. It's a massive, massive difference. So let's take a look at the actual definition. I know it was shown a lot during the debate, but not really gone into in any kind of detail. So let's take a look at the actual meaning for it. What is the legal definition of reliable hearsay? Hearsay, I'm going to skip down to here. Hearsay ordinarily means an out-of-court statement offered to prove what the statement says is true. Reliable hearsay is hearsay that Utah law permits a judge to consider at a criminal preliminary hearing because its form or source provides recognized assurances of reliability. That is a really, really big stage there. Again, I know this was referred to a lot in the debate. Utah Rules 1102, they list the 9 of them. Again, we can go over them really fast. Hearsay that would already be admissible at trial under a recognized exception. Statements covered by Rule 804. Evidence establishing the foundation of authenticity of an exhibit. Scientific, laboratory or forensic reports and records. Medical and autopsy reports. Statements made by a non-testifying police officer. Certain recorded statements by child victims, a statement that is written, recorded, or transcribed verbatim and was either made under oath or made after the person was warned that a false statement was punishable. Other hearsay possessing similar indicia of reliability, even if it would not be admissible. Okay, look, folks, this really shows just how disingenuous Candace really is. Reliable hearsay is a medical examiner's reports. It's DNA evidence. It is not exploding mics, maroon shirts, Egyptian planes, Foreign Legion, tunnels underground. It's not any of that bullshit. Give me a fucking break, okay? So the whole thing was littered, her whole debate was littered with hearsay versus reliable hearsay. I wish that Andrew would have pounded away a lot more on that differentiation because it really gave her so much latitude to basically say pretty much anything she wanted with impunity without being challenged. And again, PBB, not that it's the moderator's debate to challenge her thoughts. We don't want that to happen, or his thoughts. We don't want him to challenge anyone's thoughts. But the whole sequencing of and line of questioning between hearsay and reliable hearsay, I just found to be completely comical. Let's jump to the third one.
Evidence under Utah's 1102 rule.
But this doesn't demonstrate any patsy behavior.
That's very important because that rule is hearsay. So you can't say at the same time,
Great.
Candace, you're not allowed to. And what that means under the Utah rule, which I'm sure you know, because I'm sure you watched the preliminary hearing and yourself understand what that means, is that the entire hearing was hearsay. It means none of that information that was presented is going to be allowed. The majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it is not going to be allowed at the trial. They're allowed to present when it's just a probative hearing.
I don't think all the evidence that was.
Folks, I'm just going to stop it right here. Oh, and before I continue with this, I apologize because I tried to do a Blutarsky 0.0 impression. I did it really bad. My apologies for that. Let me try this again, okay?
0.0.
Thank you. All right, let's now continue with pretrial evidence not allowed at the trial, okay? Candace just said, we all just heard it, the majority of what was presented at the pretrial is not going to be allowed at the trial. Those were her exact words. Folks, literally, this is Candace's biggest lie, or just plain unforgivable ignorance in this whole debate. Let's go to the slide. At the Tyler Robinson pretrial hearing between Rule 1102 of reliable hearsay and direct non-hearsay portion, how much of that pretrial evidence is projected to be used at the actual trial? Remember, Candace just stood there in front of millions of people and said, the majority of what was presented in pretrial is not going to be allowed. Majority. You want to get technical, we'll say that she means 51%. If you really pressed her on it, she would probably say, and I think she actually said it later on in the debate, she believes that about 80 to 90, if not close to 100%, almost everything that was said in the pretrial hearing is not going to be used in the actual trial. Oh, okay, let's look at that. We just asked the question, there's the projected breakdown. So 35% is going to come from direct testimony, which 90 to 95% of that is going to reach the trial. A Rule 1102 reliable hearsay that was presented in the pretrial hearing, which accounted for 40 to 45%. 85 to 95% is going to reach the trial. Rule 1102 material requiring a different witness or evidentiary foundation. So in other words, what was presented is going to be fine, might have a different witness or expert presenting it. That accounted for about 15 to 20%, 70 to 90% will be allowed at trial and will be making its way to trial. Only about 5 to 10% is unlikely. So, folks, Candace's big lie there of almost everything is not going to make it from the pretrial to the trial. Here is the actual thing. That produces the overall estimate of roughly 93% of the prosecution's preliminary hearing case reaching trial in some way, shape, or form. Again, it's easy to come down on Andrew on these things, and I'm really trying not to because A, I like him, B, he's really sharp, and B, he clearly won the debate. There's no doubt about it. But again, if you were really, really into this stuff and you boned up on facts such as how much evidence from a pretrial actually makes its way into the actual trial. Knowing Candace has been saying this for months and months and months on our podcast, he should have been ready to pounce on this, okay? I mean, this would have destroyed her if he looked at her and said, Candace, how about this? I can show you a slide. And then he goes to his back room people and goes, folks, can you put up this slide? And he shows that 93% is going to make its way to the trial, and just looks at Candace and goes, huh? Okay. So that's pretrial versus trial, what makes it in. Now let's go to the next thing. Let's talk about the medical examiner transcript and the word bullet, because as we all know, later in the debate, Candace, and even all throughout the debate, she's talking about a projectile, the mic, the exploding mic, all this bullshit, which is all just complete fucking nonsense, and we all know it, folks. Okay? I want to play a clip first. Let's go to the clip.
I want to.
This is crazy that you don't know this.
We can call for a fact check if
yes,
all the evidence
we need
was
more than a
put
fact
in.
check. This was every single
The
day.
team in the back is
Utah
actually
Rule
saying
1102.
They want to go there. So they said there's a medical examiner's explanation of the shooting that's in the back. Rob, if you want to pull it up, and then Candace, if anybody from your team wants to pull something up, no problem as well. But they're requesting it. If you guys got it, pull it up so we can show it. And in the interim, is that it?
Yeah. So I'll read this.
Just what are we looking at, just so we know?
Yeah, so this says, the bullet, or at least part of it, sequentially perforated the interior left of Mr. Kirk's neck, strap muscles of the left side of the neck. This is a summary, by the way. Left common cartoid on the left internal external jugular veins. The bullet also obliterated the left side C27 vertebrae, transacted the cervical spinal cord. Medical examiner observed a significant portion of Kirk's cervical spinal cord was traumatically absent. Mr. Kirk suffered from other severe injuries, including bilateral, apical, and posterior intercostal hemorrhages, pulmonary, apical hemorrhages, multiple disruptions to the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera. So the summary of the examination is that he was shot.
Okay.
That was what they were pulling that up for.
Okay, and I'm not disputing that he could have been hit with a projectile. We're not disputing that, so I don't know why this was brought up as a fact check.
I'm not disputing that he could have been hit with a projectile. Okay, came up many times during this debate, a projectile, an exploding mic, petting, all this bullshit. The shirt moved. It's called kinetic energy, Candace. Have on someone who really knows what he's talking about, like Joseph Scott Morgan. If you want to talk ballistics, instead of the wackos you have on your show, have on someone like Matt Tardio. You won't have these people on because they'll blow you out of the water, is what will happen. But let's stay on this. I'm not disputing that he could have been hit with a projectile. Let's take a look at the pretrial. This is the defense team, okay, which clearly didn't mention anything about exploding mics or any bullshit like that. But let's look at how many times the word bullet was mentioned at the pretrial. 94 times, okay? All throughout the 5 days, all spread out evenly. Bullet, 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 bullet. Okay, and then I said to myself, you know what? Let's ask AI again. Did the defense mention the word bullet? Because clearly, if they think it's an exploding mic or a projectile like Candace does, they're certainly the defense team. Tyler's defense team certainly not going to mention bullet, are they? Yeah, they are. A lot of times. Defense attorneys use the word. Kathy Nestor, 7 exact uses. 11 if bullets is included. Michael Burt, 22 exact uses. 32 if you pluralize it. Richard Novak and Stacy Vissa, no identified things. All defense attorneys combined 29 exact uses of bullet, or 43 including bullets. If the defense team for Tyler Robinson, Candace, thought that it was anything other than a bullet. Why would they fucking mention it 43 times? Screwball. Let's go on to the next one, shall we? Let's talk about the defense cannot present evidence to get Tyler Robinson off. Folks, I love this one. I mean, this either shows that Candace is just the epitome of a liar, or she's really stupid. And I'm going to go on record, and I have, is she's not stupid. She's a very, very cerebral, smart young woman. So, wow. Defense cannot present evidence to get Tyler Robinson off. Let's show the clip.
Made this statement, and here is his statement that he signed. That would have been a good time to present that evidence.
That would also be a good time for the defense to say that's just totally fabricated.
No, it's not. It's the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
That is completely the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
Because what they're doing is they already said they didn't receive discovery. They literally can't. They literally can't because they can't. They did not receive discovery.
You're saying that they didn't receive that information?
No. They just received the text messages. But in order to...
That's not the text messages.
The probative information.
Yeah, we're talking about the information that we just reviewed. That's not the text messages.
They never presented it. The state never put it on.
Yeah, they didn't. The defense could easily still have presented this. Yeah,
no,
they could have said they're they're not allowed to. Are you sure?
In a preliminary hearing,
yeah.
the defense is engaging with whatever evidence the state decides to put on. They did not put this on as evidence. Brian Davis was up there.
So they're not allowed to present anything?
They're responding to the state's evidence.
I'm asking, are they allowed to present anything?
They are allowed to say...
Like if there was a conspiracy that they could prove right then and there, would they present that in one of these hearings?
No, it wouldn't be the right time for that.
I disagree. I think...
Oh, wow. Help me, guys. Help me. So... if there was a conspiracy or a smoking gun or something that they could use at the pretrial to get Tyler Robinson to not even get bound over for the real trial, where he's facing the fucking death penalty, in Candace's whacked out world, the defense team couldn't say anything, had to keep the mouth shut. With a smoking gun. Let's say they had proof that Tyler Robinson was 3 hours away. They got surveillance. They got eyewitnesses, sworn testimonies, everything. That they know there was no way that Tyler Robinson was at the UVU campus at the date and time that Charlie was assassinated. But according to Candace, they needed to keep their mouths shut and wait for this to get bound over to the real trial. Folks, come on. Come on. Okay? I mean, even if you're a Candace conspiracy nut, you gotta know this makes 0 sense. 0 sense. Okay? Let's just look real quickly. Not going to bore you with the question. Basically, at the Tyler Robinson pretrial, if the defense had a smoking gun evidence that Tyler Robinson did not commit the crime because they could prove something along the lines that he was somewhere else, nowhere near the UVU campus where Charlie was assassinated, the date, could they use it? Answer, yes, yes. Under Utah law, the defense is expressly permitted to present that kind of smoking gun alibi evidence at the preliminary hearing and argue that the judge must refuse to bind Tyler Robinson over for trial. Okay, I'm not even going to bore you with the rest of this crap, okay? I mean, you know, steakhouse receipts. Whoa, why didn't they use the steakhouse receipt? The bullshit steakhouse receipt, the one that really is completely fake. Why didn't they use that? Okay, why didn't they use all the other bullshit that Candace shows for 11 months? All of those things she's had to have uncovered, by her own admission, at least 10 smoking guns, maybe 50 smoking guns. Everything on her show is a smoking gun. Stay tuned. We're getting closer. Smoking gun. Ah! Wow. So many lies, so little time. This is so much fun, folks. All right, here's another one. Let's go to the next one.
Because I've said what's important to me is that we exhaust this topic first of our actual debate claims. I do not feel that you sufficiently have argued that the evidence is overwhelming.
Sorry.
Candace, question for you.
That Tyler
But I am
Robinson.
sorry you feel that way.
Candace, one question. What evidence do you need to see for you to say Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a great question. So I actually expected in this preliminary hearing, actually almost the inverse of what he was saying is true, right? So this is now the time the state is putting on their evidence. That's the purpose of this hearing, right? The state is using hearsay, but they're also putting on their evidence. So I was just expecting some sort of a slam dunk. Like we got him on camera taking the shot. At least we have him clear on camera. You're telling me this guy drove 13 hours all around. Like we can definitely show you a picture that it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Before we even get to the trial, people are going to see and go, oh crap, like it was really Tyler Robinson. I was expecting to at least see evidence that, because I had reported early on that the source was saying that Tyler did not step foot on campus that day. It is my perspective that he had something to do with something. I do believe he was disposing clothes at this stage, at this phase. I do believe he was disposing clothes. He was involved somehow. I find Lance to be more suspicious, if I'm being honest with you. And also, like I said, the use immunity that was given to Lance by the feds, the fact that the feds didn't ask him any questions, the fact that I spoke with Lance Twiggs' family, and they were like, it's very weird that the feds are not asking him more questions. He's exactly the person that I would imagine to be involved in some stuff. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. But when we got to the preliminary hearing, there was not a single piece of evidence that I felt was slam dunk. I was waiting for that, a photo.
I think Tyler was involved. Maybe disposing of clothes. There was not a single piece of evidence that I thought was slam dunk, according to Candace Owens. You couldn't think of one thing, Candace, at the pretrial hearing? Not one? Here, let me whisper this one in your ear for you, Candace. DNA. DNA! Folks, let's look at the DNA. Oh, we're going to get into some fun numbers here. These are numbers that almost mimic Elon's net worth. They exceed it. Okay. Candace couldn't think of anything. All right, well, let's think of a couple of things, Candace. Let's do it together. The rifle that they found at the scene with Tyler's DNA, and I know people, the crazies and the loonies and the Candace posse, are going to say, but it also had other evidence. Had his dad, had his grandfather, had the gnome down the block, whatever they're going to say. It's 1 trillion to 1. 1 trillion to 1. Okay? 1 trillion to 1 in favor of Robinson being a contributor. 1 trillion to 1. The total the towel that wrapped up the rifle that they found in the woods, folks, that one is 30 quintillion to 1. Okay? 30 quintillion to 1. According to the testimony, approximately 95% of the DNA mixture was attributed to Robinson, 5% to Twiggs. It's natural, obviously. They're living together. They're dating. They're furries. He's a furry in training. I don't even know what the fuck a furry is. I don't want to know what it is. Okay, bottom line is, of course he's going to have some fingerprints, the furry. Okay? But the bottom line is it's 95% Tyler Robinson. We're talking about 1 trillion here and 30 quillion there and all this stuff. The screwdriver, 30 quintillion as well. Again, the FBI testing produced a mixture attributed primarily to Robinson, 89%, 11%. Okay, so for all the people say, 11%, look at all the things, the rifle, the this and the that. Do we have any other evidence for that Lance Twiggs? Was it UVU that day? Again, I'm not precluding, guys, that Lance Twiggs wasn't involved, didn't know, didn't have foreknowledge, any of the above, none of the above. I think he's very sus. I agree with that. He's got the limited immunity. That's going to probably change before the pre-trial, before the actual trial when they bind this over, which they're clearly going to. Bottom line is Lance Twiggs was nowhere near fucking UVU, and Tyler Robinson, by quintillions and trillions and all this stuff, was all over the place. But remember, Candace says there's not a single piece of evidence that I thought was slam dunk. Wow. That really tells you a lot, folks. Really does. All right, let's go on to the next one. Let's talk about, I like this one. Foreign Legion, Candace death threats.
Let's talk about the Foreign Legion.
Sure.
Was the Foreign Legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Yes, that's why I reported it to the correct officials in government. That's what I was told, and I handed over that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Well, it was
positive evidence.
It was told to me by somebody who is high up in the French government. I passed off that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office. I also passed it off to Trump's office, Donald Trump's office. And that's all I can tell you. I wouldn't be able to probe any evidence because I don't have the power to do that. I'm not the federal government. And I would also like to say that this becomes this other piece of what you do, which is when people say, this, I was told this, and this is the evidence that I have, and I'm willing to have that conversation and write the email to the correct government body that deals with this. Like, I can't hack into Emmanuel Macron's bank accounts and say whether or not the information.
I agree.
But then you go, well, where's your evidence? It's like, well, my evidence is that I reported it. I did the right thing that you're going to do. So if somebody calls and says, hey, Andrew, there's a viable death threat against you, and that person definitively has the rank to be able to tell you this, and you say, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to report that to the feds. And then I go, what's your evidence? It's like, well, I got the information, and I gave the information that I got from who I got it to the right body of people. And that's what I did.
Got it. I just want to make sure. So I'm not trying to trap you. I just want to make sure I got it clear.
And that's why I say I want to know what you're doing now, because this has always been the thing. It's like, we actually can't win on the overwhelming claim. So we're just going to go and bring up everything.
All I'm going to say about this, again, maybe I'm too logical. Maybe I need to start learning to be a lot more illogical. Maybe I need to start thinking like Candace does. Be a much more fun world if I did. Folks, all I'm going to say is something's not adding up. Let's think about it. Candace says she reported it to Trump's office, to Tulsi Gabbard's office, and then later in the debate, she also, because it somehow comes up again, and she also says she reported it to Dan Bongino. Sounded almost like she reported it to Dan directly. Didn't say his office or anything. Said Dan Bongino. I'm sure the two of them know each other, so it's not out of the question that she could have also either texted or made a call to Dan. Okay? And you mean none of them. Zero. Okay?
0.0.
Followed up with her. Nobody. 3 separate government agencies she reported this to, and none of them followed it up with her. Does that sound like it even remotely would be feasible or make sense? Folks, if something actually happened to Candace, God forbid, we don't want anything happening to anyone. But if something actually happened to Candace Owens after she reported it to 3 separate government agencies, do you realize what the fucking fallout of that would be? Something is very fishy about this story. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go on to the next one. Let's talk about Israel. Israel involved in the death of Charlie Kirk. Okay? Let's just roll this one straight through.
thing that I think can try to embarrass her. I reported
I'm
exactly
not
as I
trying to
received
embarrass
it.
you. I just want to make sure that I get your positions clear.
I have not said, yeah, go ahead.
And now you have stated multiple times that you believe that Israel's involved in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Can you give me...
Yes, we can pull up the clip. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Can I finish the sentence?
Go ahead.
Can you give me the context for what are you talking about? Like when I say, generally speaking, why people think that Israel's involved? Mm-hmm. Okay. Where's your question?
Yeah. Do you have any positive evidence whatsoever that Israel killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, I couldn't say Israel was on the ground and shot and killed Charlie Kirk. I would say that there are various things that we're trying to establish, one being a motive. And since I don't believe that Tyler Robinson and his transferee is a convincing motive because he was fired up about politics, which Lance testified that he never spoke about with him, nor do I believe that he was so into LGBTQ issues, since Lance testified they never spoke about LGBTQ issues, that he stopped and ate at Chick-fil-A, which if you are into LGBTQ issues, wouldn't be your lunch before you go kill Charlie Kirk for LGBTQ issues.
Let's just stop there. We'll pick it up again in a second. Let's stop there. I love her reasoning for this stuff. So Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs never spoke about politics or LGBTQ issues. So what? I mean, okay. It's not unfeasible. It's not feasible. I don't know what people talk about. I don't talk about politics that much with my wife. Okay? A little bit. I don't know. What's the big deal? Why would she find it so surprising that they didn't? Here are the good ones. And he stopped at a Chick-fil-A. Oh my God, no. No, not Chick-fil-A. That can't be possible. Chick-fil-A. Like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of gay people don't eat at Chick-fil-A. I happen to have several friends who are gay and eat at Chick-fil-A. It's delicious. The waffle fries are especially good. Of course, gay people eat at Chick-fil-A. And Candace, I got a news flash for you. This one might just short-circuit you. It might just blow your mind. But there are gay people that actually work at Chick-fil-A. No, don't say that, Steve. Don't say it. Okay, let's listen to a little more of her gobbledygook about Israel, shall we?
Say however positive, negative, however you want to say it.
Well, like positive evidence
I can just
would
have
be
a conversation.
Material evidence and other evidences, which would
what
point
we've said
you to
is on our show is what we said, which is this feels like a conspiracy building. There's no reason to lie about these.
What we said is what we said. It feels like a conspiracy. It feels like it. Don't you know that when they go to trial, Tyler Robinson's defense team is going to stand up, they're going to look at the jury, and instead of presenting facts, they're going to look at the jury and say, "Jury, it just feels like it. It feels like Tyler Robinson didn't assassinate Charlie Kirk. It feels like it. You got to believe me." Oh, dumb shit. And let's look at one last other one.
I never have said that statement, so I'm not going to get you to ask me personal questions about things that I've never said on record.
Okay, fair.
Your team is sending messages in the back saying they have a video they want to play.
Okay, go ahead.
Via who?
Via who?
My guess is Pierre. Erica. I think that there's a reason Pierre knew that Charlie was dead first. I think there's a reason he was a priority. How? Why? I think France and Israel are involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I'm going to put that out there with full confidence.
Okay.
I also involvement.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you think you with full confidence, you think that
I think
that
Israel's
France
involved.
and Israel
Yeah, I mean, the person that gave me that thing that I reported said that French Foreign Legion were on the ground that day.
Okay, let's stop it there. Let's wrap up with Israel, okay? Israel. Everything in Candace's world is Israel because...
The Jews!
Hold on, what?
Let's play that again.
The Jews!
Hold on, what?
Okay. So this is the same French Legion idiot that also told Candace about the death threats, which we already have established that 3 government agencies didn't seem, from what we're understanding, didn't seem reliable enough information to believe her on the death threats. But the same anonymous source, could have been Mickey Mouse, French version, who knows, French Legion version, who also tipped her off about the Jews, and France as well. So there's no evidence whatsoever. She basically backs away from this whole claim and basically says, no, Israel didn't kill Charlie Kirk, which was what she was actually inferring for 10 months. Now she's backing away to they were involved. There's no evidence that they were involved either. Okay, and she's just a Jew hater. We all know that. Basically, folks, this is a classic case with talking about Israel as it relates to Candace, of show me the man and I'll find you the crime. Clearly, Candace hates Israel and wouldn't shed one fucking tear if Israel were wiped off the map tomorrow to say definitively on our podcast that Israel was involved in Charlie's death with full confidence, when she has absolutely nothing. Okay? Just a Jew hater, an anti-Semite, and an Israel hater. And obviously a BB hater. But that could be a whole other topic. All right, let's go to our next one. They discuss Erica Kirk. We only have a couple of more left, folks. 2 more to be exact.
You go on to Joe Rogan and you're like soft explaining away why Erica had to take over Charlie's company when they don't have a parent at home. So now you're a feminist icon. Like you just go into the headquarters and you just shift all of your perspectives.
That's a bizarre criticism. Like nobody's in the bigger girl boss position than you.
Yeah, I'm actually, no.
You're in the biggest of the girl boss positions. Like you don't have to do this. You just do this. You could definitely not do it at all and be fine, right? But you still do.
I would say that you are making a comparison that cannot be compared because Erica's husband was just assassinated in front of the world.
Which makes sense why she would take the organization over.
No, it makes sense why you would go home to your kids, just so you know.
Wait a second. That's bizarre.
Yeah, because they don't have a parent. They don't have a parent and they just suffered a trauma. You don't go into the office 6 days later.
You want to protect your husband's legacy, right?
No.
And you're trying to find some new normal.
The legacy is his children, not the organization.
It's both.
No,
yes, it is both. It's totally rational and reasonable to believe that it would be both Turning Point USA, that is part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. He worked his whole life for it.
This is why people think she's sus.
And his children. Now, for you, though, to say that anybody's a girl boss, right? That's like the pot calling the kettle black.
That came out of your mouth.
No, that was you. You brought up girl boss.
Girl boss came out of your mouth.
No,
I'm telling you that you brought up this idea that I'm defending some feminist nonsense. I'm not. I'm pointing out that they're by the way,
she's not qualified to take over his company.
There's always objective.
Right there. I stop it. Right there. She's not qualified to take over his company. Okay? Folks, this really is the crux. I know many of you who I've spoken with online and in person always believe this for months and months and months, the jealousy factor of this. Okay? That statement that Candace just made literally came completely out of context from what the two of them were talking about. What's his legacy? What's this? What's that? And then all of a sudden, she's not qualified to take over his company. It was a completely unprovoked statement. It had nothing to do with what they were discussing. So it's always been about a fatalistic jealousy that Candace has for both marrying Charlie and now running his company. Two things that Candace set her sights on for years and years and can never have either one. That's what this clip is all about. Not about what his legacy is, about her deep-seated jealousy for being Mrs. Charlie Kirk and running either with Charlie or underneath Charlie in the number 2 role, Turning Point USA. It's an easy one to snuff out, guys. It's really easy if you follow what she's said about Erica and by extension the company and wanting it to fail and all the other garbage that she's been spewing for 11 straight months. It's a simple one. All right, let's go on to the last clip.
Soft drink, no alcohol, right? No alcohol, right? You know nothing about the case. But anyway, this particular receipt, they could have called the merchant account, confirmed it, this type of thing. To date, this receipt has only the blurred information on it that would actually give you the information to confirm whose receipt it is. We have to date, nobody has confirmed that this was actually Tyler Robinson's receipt. And yet inside of Candace Owens' timeline, which she states over and over again, when she says, this is the longest 13 hours, this is 13 and a half hours, the requirement for about roughly 5.5 or 6 hours of that is that he went to the steakhouse. And that's not been confirmed at all. Not even a little bit.
I feel like saying that I spoke to the owner of the steakhouse is me, like, not just being on X looking at opinions, but actually doing the legwork. And that's why like I said, if you think this builds up a rapport with your audience and makes you seem like a serious person, we don't have to keep belaboring the point here. I feel like I've demonstrated that I did as much as I could to confirm this when it came in. I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, obviously took down everything he said, noted that there was, in fact, a receipt that he pulled. That receipt that was published is real. A debit card and a credit card was used. If for some reason somebody misidentified something down the line, or we find out it's a different Tyler Robinson, I'm happy to remove it from my timeline. But for right now, I think that there's enough under the Utah 1102 rule for me to keep it there. I don't really think we need to keep going into circles about this receipt. It's my timeline.
I don't know why the 1102 rule would apply here for your timeline.
Because you will constantly cite things that are said in that courtroom that have less evidentiary support than me contacting and speaking with the owner of the restaurant. It's not like I dreamed it, as to use your expression. So it's in my timeline, and I'm going to keep it there.
Sure, you can keep whatever you want there. I'm just saying that there's no evidence he was ever there.
Okay.
I want it in my bogus timeline. How many other fucking things have you taken off of your timeline in 11 months? The Egyptian planes, the underground tunnels, the maroon shirts, the French Legion. They come on the timeline. They come off the timeline. We're getting closer. Again, we're back with the 1102 rule. Rules of reliable hearsay. That, what she's describing, folks, is not reliable hearsay. I'm not going to play you the 9 different points under Utah 1102 again. The steakhouse receipt, which is fake and can't be validated at all, is not reliable hearsay. But folks, this is really the crux of how Candace has spent 11 months peddling bullshit, complete with bogus timelines and hundreds of specious claims that never quite seem to pan out because she conflates the Utah 1102 rule of reliable hearsay, whether intentionally or unintentionally, to deceive her gullible, low IQ supporters, and will continue to do so right up until the trial. I'll leave you with this final thought, folks. The defense team, along with Tyler Robinson, either in communication with his family members or by himself, have not used one scintilla of claims or evidence or whatever the fuck you want to call what Candace does, and all you need to do is ask yourself one simple question. Why haven't they? Folks, if you like this video, great news. My live daily podcast is coming in early October, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, on all major platforms, X, YouTube, Rumble, with lots of viral shorts. They're already running right now on TikTok and Instagram. So subscribe now to my platforms at The Steve Eisner Show. That's it from here in this beautiful liberal shithole known as California. Until next time, remember to shine the light, join the fight, and make it right. See you guys later.